I would like to start firstly with differences between the chatbot, assistant, and an agent, because my presentation goes from building a simple chatbot, then going to assistant, and then going to autonomous agent. So starting with what is a chatbot. Chatbot, I mean, in my perception, chatbot is a simple, very simple, bot that receives a single query, generates a response based only on that query, doesn't have any previous interactions, memory. Each interaction is isolated and independent. So this is a chatbot, right? So this is an example interaction with the chatbot. What task do I have to do today? And chatbot responds, sorry, I don't have access to your tasks list, right? So he understood the question, but he doesn't know about my plan, about my task list, and he responds that he doesn't have an access to my task list. Then we have an assistant. Assistant is like a more advanced chatbot, because as assistants can maintain conversation context and refer to the previous messages. So an assistant have a memory of what he told you and what you've sent to the assistant. So it remembers the conversation history, understands the context, and can offer you a personalized responses. He has access to your data. He can have access to your data, but cannot take autonomous actions. And this is an example conversation with an assistant. So when I ask an assistant, what task do I have to do today? And previously I've shared the task list with an assistant. Assistant can respond that based on our previous conversation, you have scheduled a meeting, submit a report, and training. And this is an assistant, right? So for the previous 2 years, we've been building chatbots and assistants and more or less complex, and then we are moving to an AI agent thing. So AI agent is another step in building AI assistants, because AI agent have some things that assistant doesn't have. Firstly, the autonomy, so he can work without our commands. He can perform actions, he can execute actions, and he can make some decisions, right? He have a decision-making algorithm. He also understands context as an assistant. He can do some external API calls. He can do some data manipulation. So an agent is another step of maturity of AI apps. And this is an example conversation with an agent. What tasks do I have to do today? He answers that here are your tasks for today. And he also asks if, would you like some help with your quarterly report? Your answer is yes. And he completes a research on the report and sends it to your email. So it can perform tasks. It has some kind of an autonomy. And today I'm going to show you how to go from the simple chatbot through assistant to an autonomous agent, doing it only with Bubble, of course with OpenAI API, but without any N8N or any external Zapier tools to automate it. This is an example AI agent interaction flowchart. So we are going through. We are starting with user input. We can also skip the user input because AI agent can do the tasks on our behalf, on his behalf, without our input. Then the AI agent has a decision point to perform tasks or to request more information. If he will able to perform tasks, he performs the tasks, he updates tasks list and suggests you next steps. So we have a decision loop and decision point, and then decision loop related with performing tasks. So we will go from the chatbot that represents the simplest form of AI interaction to AI assistants that introduces context and memory to AI agent that combines all the previous features and the ability to perform tasks and make decisions. Of course, we'll be building with Bubble, OpenAI, and Perplexity. The Perplexity I will use Perplexity to search the web and get some reports as an example of an external API we can call. And in terms of OpenAI, I will use the chat completions endpoint. We will not be using Assistance API. Chat completions is simpler for this example today. And using chat completions, we will be able to achieve these results. We will use structured output and function calling, tool calling, which is the crucial part in building the autonomous agent. And of course, not to start from scratch, I use the Bubble AI. I don't know if you have watched today's Bubble video about the AI vision in the future. Let me know if you have seen it. If you haven't played around with an AI app generator, you can try it right now. I started with a simple prompt: create me a simple task management app, because this app will be a foundation to build our chatbot, assistant, and agent on top of it. And then, based on this app, I will show you how to do it. Okay, so this was the presentation. Now I will go to the Bubble app. So this is the Bubble. This is the Bubble app, and we've got the 3 buttons: chatbot, assistant, and an agent. Let's start with the chatbot. Chatbot is, of course, super simple. It has question, OpenAI API call, and gives us the answer. When I go to the chatbot page, of course, underneath, we have a task management app that was generated by AI. So in the data type, we've got the task. The task have a name, due date, status, if it's completed or not, and the priority, and so on. And the database right now is empty. So I can add some tasks manually. And I can also ask the chatbot, what is in my plan today? And when I click go, it gives me the answer that he doesn't have access to my personal information, blah, blah, blah. From the perspective of Bubble app, the chatbot page looks like this. When I click go, let's go to the workflows. We've got the simple logic. When button go is clicked, trigger call chatbot, and the call chatbot workflow. It goes to the OpenAI chat call, and the message is the message from the input, and then it displays data in the group. So this is what I did, right? I clicked go, the multi-line input went into the OpenAI, and it displayed the data in group chat. It doesn't have any memory, so tell me more about point 1. When I click go, it will probably say, I need a little bit more context to understand what points refers to each situation. It doesn't have any memory, so only one message and one answer. Then we'll go to the assistant. The assistant flow is a little bit more complicated, but still simple. When I ask a question, firstly, it updates a message thread, then it runs an OpenAI API call, then again updates the message thread and displays the answer. Let's go to the assistant page. And here on the assistant page, we've got the logic, which is a little more complex. So when I click go, I am running a custom function called add message to thread result and add message to JSON, and then I'm sending it to the OpenAI completions API. So I'm sending the whole history of all the messages. Then adding the result to the JSON and adding it to the thread result. And thanks to this, I'm able to play around with an assistant. What is plan my day? Plan my day. Yeah, and the assistant will be able to answer. And then I can continue my conversation with an assistant thanks to the fact that I'm adding all the messages to the thread. See, it has planned, it has given me the some options what I can do during the day. And I can say, tell me more about point 1. And the assistant should refer to the point 1 from the list, thanks to the fact, yeah, the point 1 is about starting your day, right? So it referred to the point that he previously generated. And this is how it works. Everything is on the front end, by the way. So all of the things that I'm playing around today will be on the front end to simply simplify things. On the page, I've added the two custom states, the messages history and the messages history JSON. Both are list of texts. So when I click go, again, the first thing I do is I'm running this custom function, helper add message to thread result. And this function, it adds the state, updates the state of the messages history with the message that I've passed to this function. So it's, adds the more and more text to this list of text, and also, so this list of text can be displayed as a thread, as a conversation between me and an assistant, and also it's adding a message to the list of JSONs, and I'm doing this because for the chat completions API, I need to send a list of JSON messages. I mean, the previous messages and the newest messages and the received messages to maintain the history. So when I call the assistant, I'm calling the OpenAI API call with all the messages history JSON, right? So I'm sending all of the JSONs I previously added to this custom state, and then as well adding the response from the assistant and adding in from the thread result. So doing this, I am able to maintain the history of the conversation, and as well having the simple memory for the assistant. So this is what was possible for many months since OpenAI launched their completions API, and we were able to create chatbots and assistants. But the next step is an agent. So an agent adds another layer of complexity. And this is an example, of course, workflow that we can use to build a V1 agent in Bubble. So like in Assistant, we've got the questions, then we are updating threads, but then we are calling OpenAI API with functions, with tools. So we are providing OpenAI not only the context and the messages, but the tools that OpenAI can use to perform various tasks. And then the OpenAI responds as, for example, that he understood that he needs to call various functions. Then we are calling these functions in a loop. So we are getting a JSON result from the OpenAI. We are checking if we do need to call a function. We are calling a function. So in Bubble, we are triggering our custom event, returning the result from this custom event. checking if there are more functions to call, and then doing this loop. If there are no more functions in this loop, we are calling again OpenAI API with functions, getting result, and so on till the end. So in this example, OpenAI will perform actions based on our commands using functions. But what kind of functions the OpenAI can perform? Well, any functions. I prepared 4 functions for the OpenAI to perform: send email, research web, manage tasks, and list tasks. So to do this, firstly, we need to define these functions and send it to OpenAI. So for example, an send email function is a JSON that tells OpenAI that the name of this function is send email, the description, of course, sends email, and it also has the parameters, right? So in this case, the sending email, it only has a body of the email to be sent, because all the emails are being sent to me. If we go to research web function, we are telling the OpenAI that this function does a research on the web, and after that, he can call the function manage tasks to create or update relevant tasks. And the manage tasks function is more complex, because the manage task function is for the OpenAI to be able to manage tasks. And in the description, again, we are describing what this function can do, what it accepts as an input, and what is the description of this input. Also, I'm adding an information. For example, before running this function, always run list tasks to make sure you have an existing tasks unique IDs to use. And then OpenAI will know that if he is going to run this manage tasks, firstly, he needs to run list tasks before that. And we've got all the options that I need. So task ID, task name, content, due date, priority, if it's completed or not. And of course, we also have the list tasks function. So it lists user tasks based on date. So these are the JSONs we are sending to with an OpenAI call for the OpenAI to know what kind of functions he can perform. But after OpenAI performs this function, we need to fetch it and make our bubble app decide what to do with this function. I will show you that in the moment. And for the purpose of this app, I've created an option set called OpenAI functions. Actually, here on this page, I'm displaying data from this option set. And here we have the send email, research web, manage tasks, and list tasks, and the attributes are the name of the function and the JSON, right? And the format of this JSON is based on the documentation of an OpenAI. It's pretty simple. You can also use a generator to generate the format of these functions for the OpenAI to understand. Okay, and when we go to the agent page, which looks pretty similar to the previous ones, here we can interact with an agent. So as I previously mentioned, this agent can perform various tasks: list tasks, manage tasks, research web, and send email. So I can ask agent to create tasks. I need to prepare for a webinar about AI agents. Create task lists for me. Okay. And now the AI agent will try to do it. Let's check if it works. It's thinking. And let's check if it's going to work. See? So it was an interaction with our Bubble app based on the call to OpenAI and the list of functions he is able to perform. He called the functions, Bubble fetched these functions, and he prepared a list of tasks for me. So gather information, create and prepare slides, and so on. And then I can ask him to complete the tasks for me. Because, for example, gather information about AI agents requires some research on the web right now. So probably he will be able to complete the task. Complete the tasks you are able to. And now he will be thinking again. Now he is performing an action to, yeah, see, he found information about something in the web and probably gathering information about agents. See, we've got these tasks completed. Probably he messed up with something because he should mark this one as completed, not create a new one. But yeah, so we'll check it in the moment. So this is the general idea. I can also ask him, for example, okay, I will delete the tasks, gather information about AI agents. So perform the tasks or complete the tasks. Me the email summary. Yes, so right now he should understand that I want him to complete the task. So gather information about AI agents and send me the email. In the moment, we'll see if he will be able to. He was able to do it. Chris, is this the streaming response? No, it's not a streaming response. It's just a response. I'm displaying this. Based on the step I have in the flow. I will show you in the moment. Yeah, let me check the fact. Yeah, because here I got the beautiful floating group with a log of things that it's happening, but it's yeah. Let's do it again, and I will show you the log of what's happening in the background. Delete. Yeah, so this is the log of what is happening in the background. What type of JSONs are being sent to the OpenAI. So help me to prepare for a webinar about AI agents that is happening tomorrow at 4 p.m. Go. Yeah, so here see, he sent information about with the prompt. Then the tool was called with the function list tasks. Then the function research web. So he researched the web about AI agent trends. This is the result that he found in the web. Then he called the function manage tasks to create these tasks. Then he responded that tasks was created. And then the summary was generated, right? And let's see what was created here. Yeah, sorry, I've added it in the moment before, so it's not hiding. Yeah. See, he has created a task called Prepared for Agents webinar. It has prepared the key points and put them into the task. And I can do one more thing. Let's delete this one. I can add tasks manually. So, for example, do a research on AI news. and let's make it high priority, and send email about AI agent agent news research, and also today. So I'm adding tasks manually, and now I can ask the agent to complete my task list. And we can also do this, for example, daily in the backend. I don't have to complete my task list, right? I can schedule this this call to happen every day or even every hour, and every hour agent will be going through my task lists, and if he's able to perform the task, he will be doing the task, marking as completed, and so on and so on. So this is some kind of an autonomy. We are looking about how to build an agent that is able to perform your tasks, and this is what's happening in the background. So firstly, he listed the tasks, and he get the tasks list. He found the first task is about the research. He did a research on the web. This is the actual information from now. And then he updated the task. And then he again sent an email about the latest AI developments and sent and marked this as an email sent, right? So let me hide this. See, and these tasks were marked on green, so they are completed. If I add the new one is red, so it's not completed. So he had completed those two tasks, did a research and sent an email about AI agent news research, right? So this is how agent works from the perspective of the user. How does it work from the Bubble app? Let me hide this. Okay, again, we have again the workflow when I click on Go button, and we have the same things that we had in an assistant. So firstly, I'm adding a messages to the thread, right? So I have a list of text and all the thread, and then I have a trigger called call agent. And this call agent is a little bit more complicated. Firstly, I'm calling OpenAI, but the API call has an extra option called tools. When we take a look at the API call and compare the typical chat call, so the typical chat call is like, you are a productivity assistant and the messages from user. This was used for the chatbot and for the assistant. But for the agent, we are using more complex one. Firstly, the prompt is longer. We are also providing the agent with the current date time for him to be able to know the current date time to research the web and mark tasks as completed. And we are adding these tools. And the functions here, so the functions he can use are from the option sets. I'm in the list of functions I've provided in the option sets. And when we get back to the workflow, we can see that the functions are all the OpenAI functions from the option sets. The messages is the JSON list of text, and the current date is the current date. Then the next step is trigger a function called looper. And the function looper is being called only if the OpenAI responded with the information that OpenAI wants to call some tools, some functions. The function looper is the function that, of course, adds the context message to the JSON, and then calls another function called router. Function router is the function that gathers all our functions that are possible to call in Bubble. And in function router, we are triggering functions. For example, send email, list tasks, manage tasks, research web. For example, the function send email is being triggered when the function name from OpenAI was send email. So if OpenAI decided that he wants to send email, he passes it back to our app, and then we are triggering the custom function called send email and returning data from this function. If not send email, we are triggering list tasks. If not, manage tasks. If not, research web. And all of these functions are here. See? For example, the function function list tasks returns the tasks from the database formatted as text. So this is the header, task name, due date, priority, and the list. The function research web. The function research web is more complex because it calls the Perplexity API. So it's called Sonar chat call. This is the name of this. And returns the data that Perplexity returned. Send email, of course, sends email. It's just a bubble function. And manage tasks is a little bit more complex because I'm using the internal call to my own backend. Because as we know, Bubble is unable to respond with the to return results from the backend workflow when I'm scheduling the backend workflow. So I'm doing this hack to call my own API, right? And the tasks API is the backend workflow to manage tasks, right? So it schedules API workflow manage tasks on the list, and it's just Bubble, right? So it's just performing actions on the Bubble database. And when we got it's folded, okay. When we get back to this function router, it goes through all the functions that are able to be called in our Bubble app, and returns to the function looper. And here in the function looper, it's called looper because it's doing a loop, right? In Bubble, we are unable to do loops, but on frontend, which is not actually true, because we can use a simple hack. If we have a custom event, we can schedule the same custom event in, for example, delay 0.1 seconds, and it will be looping, right? Of course, we are unable to schedule the same custom event from here, but we can do a simple hack to schedule this from a different place in our app, and then copy and paste it into the original functions, right? So, by the way, this is the way to do loops in Bubble, right? Scheduling custom events, but you need to copy it from the other event, right? This is Bubble. This is why you love Bubble, right? We can. So the function looper is being looped until we don't have any more functions to call. So when OpenAI, for example, provides us with a list of functions to list tasks, manage tasks, and send email, we are doing these three functions, then looping if there are no more functions, and then again calling the agents with a response. So basically, this is the flow of how to do it in Bubble. Of course, this is the simplified example with only four functions. But the beauty of this is that I can add the functions here easily in the option set, and then add the functions here in the function looper. And this is the only thing I need to, in function router, this is the only thing I need to do to add more more functions, more possibilities to my agent. Of course, we can perform some of these actions in the backend, workflows, and in the backend loops, but I did it on front end to make it simple and to make it faster to have everything on the front end. Yep. So yeah, so this is how it works. Maybe you have some questions. I don't know. I'm not seeing the chat. If you have any questions on this, feel free to ask. Of course, this is a general idea, can be upgraded, can be done better. A lot of things are the matter of prompts. For the agent to better understand what type of functions to call and so on, we can play around with this system prompt here, as well as the prompts in the particular functions here, right? So no, it's not done with Assistance API. It is done with a single chat completions endpoint. It's a single endpoint called chat completions. We don't need an Assistance API for this. We can use these chat completions to achieve the functionality. Of course, it can be done with Assistance API, which is more complex to maintain. But we can, for example, use the file retriever in the Assistance API. But on the other hand, if we have this function calling, we can do the file retriever using Bubble or any other external API. So yeah, so this is the important thing. I'm using only the endpoint completions API. Yes, you can do. Yeah, you can use tools on the completions API. You cannot. Yeah. So you just add it to functions. And right now, as we know, or if you don't, a couple of weeks ago, OpenAI introduced a new way of interacting with API called Responses API, which will in 1 year the Responses API will be a one central endpoint instead of Assistance API, Completions API. Chris, if isn't a lot of tokens to use by sending it the tutor functions and the chat history. Yes, it's not super well optimized. It's a way of doing things. Of course, it can be optimized using the Assistance API, not to sending all the thread and so on and so on. So I was not caring about the tokens in this example because it's just a technology example for you to take it from here and do whatever you want. Yeah, and by the way, if you would like to have a copy of this app, this is my email. This is my LinkedIn, so you can scan the QR code to go on my LinkedIn. I've posted a post on my LinkedIn today about this webinar, so you can comment under this. If you want a copy of this app, I can share it with you, because we had only half an hour to go through all of this. It is impossible to explain all the things. And yeah, I'm happy to share the app with you for you to play around. Yeah, how to make the agent to use only Bubble database as data source instead of searching the web, for example. It's a matter of, okay, I will now, if you noted down my contact information, I will get back to Bubble. So we decide what to use, because when OpenAI is triggering functions, the only thing OpenAI does is sending the information that OpenAI would like to trigger a function. Then we decide what to do with these functions. For example, when OpenAI decides the trigger function research the web, we can create the function to do whatever we want. For example, the function list tasks operates on the Bubble database. If the function list task is triggered, it's returning data from our Bubble database. So it's our decision to choose it. Samantha, you are asking if I put all the tool functions in one API call. Yes, because I'm providing an OpenAI all the possibilities he can use when performing the actions. So if OpenAI needs to know about all the functions he can perform, or it, I'm still calling OpenAI him, it can perform. So I'm sending all of the functions, but these are not the Bubble functions, right? These are only the function definitions, the JSONs I'm keeping here, right? So I'm sending only these JSONs, not the Bubble functions, right? Yeah. Jadish, for high volume AI apps that search and scrape lots of data, do you recommend using Xano or Superbase? I like Xano. I like working with Xano mainly because of the powerful backend and endless possibilities of millions of records in the database. But on the other hand, when we have everything in the Bubble database, we need to check, right? If it's better to pay for an extra workload units or pay for Xano or pay for Superbase. So depending on the app, sometimes it's better to pay $100 for workload units in Bubble instead of paying $100 in Xano and having all the backend in Xano and all of the complexity. But from some of the apps, which are high volume apps, it may be a good idea to have an external backend. Depends on the app. For the typical to-do apps, it doesn't matter. Okay, so yeah, so again, this is my contact information. Okay, the last question. Did I prompt the agent to use those tools or let the agent decide by itself? In Open Assistant API, yes, this is the same. I mean, the completions API uses the same idea of calling functions. See, I didn't prompt the AI agent to use the functions. I only described him what he's able to do as a productivity assistant, and I provided him a list of functions. So it's exactly the same as Assistant API. It's just a simpler way of doing things, right? So in terms of calling tools, it's similar to Assistant's API. You can get this idea and transform it into Assistant's API, or if you already have Assistant's API, you can get this up and do it. Yeah. Yeah, I know this is a little bit a complex app. So again, if you need any help or more questions, because we need to finish, we are out of time. Just let me know. And if you are on Create With conference in London in May, I will have a workshop on building AI agents with Bubble. So you can join me on this workshop if you will be in May in London. I will be happy to tell you more about building agents.